Adwa kachiel nyakoram gajuang KICC e county ma Nairobi kama nyasi dhi mbele mar yango odiochieng' Katiba wawinjie kaka jatend piny wuoyo.
Became central pillars of our national transformation plan. The bottom-up economic transformation agenda was, from the outset, designed as an instrument for the implementation of the Constitution. That is why, over the last 4 years, we have been translating constitutional obligations into practical benefits across healthcare, housing, education, agriculture, and devolution. More than 32 million Kenyan citizens are now registered, with 8 million being treated by Social Health Authority. Over 100,000 community health promoters are servicing households, and the 922 Lifeline is strengthening access to emergency care. More than 274,000 affordable homes are under construction, creating 1.1 million jobs. We have also recruited more than 100,000 teachers and constructed 23,000 classrooms to boost education outcomes and rolled out a new funding model for our university education. At the same time, agricultural reforms are increasing food production, reducing agricultural inputs, putting more income into farmers' pockets, and strengthening service delivery through county governments. By no means is this work complete. Significant steps remain. Nevertheless, these interventions demonstrate that the promise of our new constitution is steadily becoming the lived experience of more Kenyans today than was the case before. This same constitutional obligation must now guide the national conversation on Kenya beyond 2030. As we consider the country we want to build beyond the present development horizon, we must not begin, and we will not be beginning, from a barren place. The Constitution has already defined our destination, and that is a democratic, prosperous, equitable, and inclusive republic founded on human dignity, social justice, sustainable development, and the sovereignty of the people. The task before us is to translate that constitutional destination into a coherent national development charter. We must determine how the next generation of growth will deliver the rights guaranteed in the Constitution, how devolution will unlock the potential of every part of Kenya, how innovation, technology, and enterprise will expand opportunity, how economic progress will be reconciled with environmental stewardship, and how Kenya's choices will protect rather than mortgage the future of generations yet to come. Kenya beyond 2030 must therefore be more than a new economic blueprint or a catalogue of projects. It must be a compact between the state and the citizen, between the present and the future, and between our national ambition and our collective responsibility. Let me repeat that. Kenya beyond 2030 must therefore be more than a new economic blueprint or a catalogue of projects. It must be a compact between the state and the citizens, between the present and the future, and between our national ambition and our collective responsibility. Its success will not only be measured by the size of our economy, the height of our buildings, or the reach of our infrastructure. It will be measured by the dignity, opportunity, security, and quality of life enjoyed by every citizen. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings me and us to another consequential question of accountability in our constitutional democracy. What is the place of an electoral mandate within a constitutional order? Political parties present manifestos to the people. Citizens consider competing visions and elect a government. That mandate carries democratic legitimacy and imposes a responsibility on leaders to keep their word and deliver on their promise. The ballot gives the mandate. The Constitution establishes the boundaries. The public institutions ensure that both are respected. How much constitutional space must an elected government have to implement the program upon which it was elected? When that program is challenged, how should courts distinguish between reviewing constitutionality and making policy choices constitutionally entrusted to elected institutions? When a court finds that a policy violates the Constitution, how should the executive and Parliament respond promptly and constructively? How should courts protect rights while remaining attentive to institutional roles, public resources, and practical consequences of their decisions? How do we preserve constitutional review without unnecessarily paralyzing legitimate government action? How do we ensure that checks and balances remain instruments of accountability and holding government to account rather than pathways to institutional gridlock? These questions do not constitute any attack on any institution or infringement on any institution. Judicial independence is non-negotiable. Courts must remain free to interpret the Constitution, protect rights, and invalidate unlawful action. Equally, executive, legislative, and judicial authority all derive legitimacy from the people and must be exercised in their service. Where a government acts unlawfully, it must obey the courts and correct its course. Where lawful policy choices fall within the constitutional authority of elected institutions, that democratic space must also be respected. Ladies and gentlemen, accountability also requires us to confront difficult moments in our recent national life. During the protests of 2024 and those that followed. Young Kenyans and other citizens exercised